starting a couple minutes early, 3 minutes early. So if you're checking in right now, Jesse, good. How are you? It didn't even show up that you were in the chat yet. It just, I see your chat. I see you saying hi and your like, but it doesn't say anyone's here. Mega, there they are. There we got two. 2 people, 1 like. 3 people, 1 like. Come on, guys, give me the like. I'm just kidding. Roberta, Jesse, Nicholas, Carol, how are you? Mega, come on, guys. How about the news, the crazy news to shake the political world? Craziness. But you know what? Just stands up and goes like that. Solidarity, baby. Hell yeah. What's up, Caden? How are you? Joe, how are you? Boom Squad, Simone. I'm very good. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. I've got a surprise for you that I will share very shortly. DB Mac, how are you, buddy? Charlie Knight, Naroshi, Kathy Hayes with us. Amber, how are you? Coleon Noir, the YouTuber, very, very intelligent guy, wicked nice guy. Like, he has a video it's on his Instagram. There's a pic of the guy on the roof. Like, not cool. Gregors, what's going on? We are awesome. Oh, isn't that cute? You guys are the little dynamic duo. What's up, DC? Nicola, how are you this evening? Alan Howell's with us this evening. How are you? There's Janie, Michael. Pine Knot. How are you guys? Joe, I actually put all of your experiences in a folder today, and you have from all of your email experiences. It's pretty funny. I was like, damn, she's got her own little folder right now. Floyd, how are you? There's Glenn. Glenn's in the house with us. All right. It is midnight. It is an all new day right now. Oh, yeah, baby. Tyler Steven, how are you? So I guess what we'll do is I'll share an encounter in a few seconds, minutes, whatever. And then I'm going to put on my surprise for you guys. I have been waiting and happy. What happened to Trump? He took a bullet to the ear, and he still went like this. God bless America. Either way you look at it, it's wrong. Like, regardless of which side you're on, that's a person, that's a father, that's an uncle, a loved one. It's never made sense to me, people getting assassinated for their views, their political stance and stuff. Like, it's a human life. I mean, that's all I'm going to say now is that's it. I don't agree with it. Delirium. I like that one. You're absolutely right. Hi, Nexus. How are you tonight? Yes. 1 person, 2 people critically injured. Like, you are that sick in the head that you have to do something like that. Like people went there. Web surfer, thank you, my friend. Regardless of how people look, because you don't talk about religion and politics, but regardless, those people went there to hear someone speak, to have something, to have some sort of experience that they enjoy, that they really, you know what I mean? Like it could have been Biden. This could have happened to Biden, and I still would have said the same thing because it's just wrong. It's wrong. Like it's a battle of the wits, and we know, well, we know, but don't fucking. It's just wrong. Larry Lindman, how are you? I loved it, right? Larry, oh my God. All I have to say is Clinton body count. I didn't say that out loud, but I did. Clinton body count. Chrissy, how are you? Yeah, two people critically injured. Just terrible, terrible. Lake, how are you? William Menendez. So, short encounter, then present for the channel. I did say hi, Nexus. You must not have heard me. Gen X, 1976. RH, how are you? All right, we will start this off with a very strange one. When I was a young man, there were these things. I don't know if it was a dream or what, but it was constantly happening to me. These creatures would come into my room, and I would refer to them as babies. They were tiny, little 3-foot tall creatures with heads that looked like pickaxes. Reminded me of the Alien films, but not as frightening. Totally black colored, like night black. The thing that got to me was that some of them had paper sacks with large, big black eyes. And like a few years ago, I saw a book, the cover of that book by, I believe, Whitney Strieber, Communion. I don't know if that's what it was, but it scared the heck out of me. I don't know if that's what it was, but these things would come into my room at night and surround me, and they'd make this weird noise. It was kind of like a deep snarl, but it was all out of sync. Like there was a lot of them doing it. It was kind of weird breathing through your teeth noise. Some of it sounded like it was coming out of an electronic box or something. I only told my parents and one friend about it. It was like 18 or 19 years ago. I can't remember way back then. It was always at one of the old houses we lived in Madison, Wisconsin. It never happened after that. I think my parents just shrugged it off, whatever. I used to wake up on the floor under the bed sometimes. I don't remember getting there, but heck if I know. Guess I'll never know what they were. After I read Strieber's book and stuff, I tried to think of any weird missing time type of thing or anything like that, and I can't think of anything that's happened since then. So it might have just been some type of dream or something. Who knows? I'm 33 right now. Maybe I'm better off never finding out. Tommy, how are you? Ryan Mack, how are you? 40,000 or 4,000, how are you? A few minutes, told my oldest daughter that you were her biological dad. Oh, geez, crow. She's not lying. No, she's lying. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's terrible. She's not lying. All right. Here it comes. Hang on one second. Let me go off stage real quick and let me put on. Oh, I'm so happy that it came. I've been holding this thing all week. Here we go, kids. Here we go. Oh, Corey Miller, thank you. Oh, yeah, baby! Basketball style. You know it. $20 is $20. Ha ha! Ha ha! There's probably new people that is like, what the fuck is going on? I got to leave this channel right now. What? I love this thing. It's made of basketball material. I wish it was like I could turn it inside out, but bam. I'm gonna wear it to the freaking court. $20, baby. All right. I freaking was waiting all week. Charlie Knight, you know it. You know Mike Patton would be proud. Actually, I think mine is better than his, to be honest. Jimmy Baker, what's going on? I doubt that, Jim Baker. I doubt that. What's up, Bell? What's up, MJ? How are you, Catherine Gibb? I'll play the tight defense. I'll be like this. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's start it off. $20. $20. There we go. Where is Wilburn? Where is Wilburn? Love you, buddy. Have a good night. I'll crack it out in a minute. There was a guy on a bike across the street, probably doing something on his electric bike. He's too lazy to pedal, so he's got an electric bike. I do have a lot lizard experience for you all. I have one, but I can say last week's was pretty freaking incredible. Yes, the cop is right down the road, parked there. Not across the way though. What's up, Shari? How are you? All right. Someone actually said no to this one, but I do have a Bigfoot portal experience. The witness and his wife took a trip up to his sister's place in Rowan Mountain in 1989. After the first few days of running around and seeing the sights, they spent the day just hanging out at the house. This led to a few cold beverages being consumed and the grill getting fired up that evening. Later that night, at around 9 p.m., he went out on the back porch to grab another brewski. I added that. He said beer, but that's when he noticed about a half dozen deer about 100 yards out in the field behind the house. One of them had a nice rack, and he couldn't quite make out the number of points. So he slipped off the porch and eased over to the corner of the fence, which put him about 60 to 70 yards away from them. As he stood there against the fence watching the deer, that's when he noticed the moon. When he says he noticed it, he means he noticed that it was huge and seemed much closer than he'd ever seen it before. He stood there at the fence watching the deer, supposedly to be, but he couldn't take his eyes off this big glowing yellowish orange ball in the light that seemed to be just out of reach. After what he thought was 20 minutes later, he found out it was more like an hour. He noticed a tickling sensation on the back of his neck. He shrugged his shoulders and turned his neck a couple of times to shake loose whatever was tickling him. And just then the deer got spooked and bounced away. The noise finally forced him to break his gaze on the moon, and that's when he realized that he'd probably been out here long enough. He decided to go back inside. He took one last look and mumbled a wow at this beautiful little sun-reflecting satellite that orbits our world, and that's when it hit him. He felt the hot breath of a huge creature hit the back of his neck at the same time, hearing or feeling the deepest chest rumbling he ever heard. He spied on his right, looking over his shoulder. All he could see was black, as far as his peripheral vision would allow. It was a Bigfoot. This all happened within a split second. When he got his head around far enough, he realized that his face was maybe 8 to 10 inches away from this thing's upper stomach. Looking up, he saw the beast's pectoral muscles stuck off its chest 6 inches. They were huge. Its chest was every bit 4.5 feet wide. Its shoulders were as big as a basketball. Add another foot or so to each side of shoulder to shoulder. This thing was at least 6 feet wide. He didn't get a good look at its hands or face, but its arms were probably more impressive than its chest and shoulders. Its arms were covered in a long, dark fur, maybe 4 to 6 inches in length. If the witness had to guess, this behemoth must have been around 10 feet tall and 700 to 800 pounds. As far as its face went, from the angle he was at, all he could make out was it was squared off, bearded chin. He couldn't see a nose, eyes, ears, or raised ridge brow. Conical had nothing, so he couldn't say whether it looked more like a man or an ape. Its arms were more like an ape's, but its chest was human-like, just a little more hairy than most. Now, this is where things get weird. As he mentioned earlier, it all happened in a split second. As he spun around and was in the process of looking up, the creature was going from a bent over position to standing up straight and taking a step back to his right. As he pulled its left leg over its right, it was like it was slipping through a slit in a green screen. The witness is not sure if this was a portal or some sort of interdimensional doorway. All he knows is that this huge thing vanished in a split second. There was no filthy smell associated with this creature. There was a slightly musty smell, but it reminded him of the smell horses give off. Janet Ramsey, how are you? New Age, Bondo, whatever your name is. Everyone likes my shirt. My shirt's freaking awesome. Guys, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Ignore Jim Baker. Jim Baker's lucky he's not going into timeout. There you go, New Age. It is the wrong color. I wish it was Celtic green. It's a joke, New Age, as well. You know, a sense of humor. I hear that, Charlie Knight. I hear that. I'm just being straight up about the police. I love Jim Baker. I do like Spyderco knives. Spyderco knives are not bad. Yeah. Comedy will never be suppressed. I hear you, Larry Lindman. I can't wait to do the I don't smoke weed, I'm sober. I'm smoking a Juul. Try Googling me. I have, Jimmy. I have. It said, man of many talents. Sometimes frequents a truck stop. Oh, shit. So you want to do the lot lizard experience? Do you want to start it off early with the lot lizard? Ooh, pups. Oh, I'm sorry, dear. Boom Squad. More than likely, I did. More than likely. All my experiences are real, New Age. If you're going to be a jerk, just fucking sign off, honestly. Or one of my mods will help you out. All right, we'll do a mermaid, and then we're going to do the lot lizards experience. Mermaid and then lot lizard. All right. Because I know you guys like mermaids. Yeah, you're gone right now. I'm not even going to fucking listen to your little crying ass. All right. Thanks, mods. I need to get this out. I grew up surfing in SoCal. In the summer of 91, my friend and I were in the water for 30 minutes, and he told me he had been touched by something and felt sick. He went back to the beach. 2 days later, he said a doctor told him that he had sickle cell anemia. Okay, last time we really talked about that, we were 15 years old. But I still remember he said I touched something. 6 years later, I was in the water and something felt weird about that whole day, and then it happened again. The pain started with the slightest touch on the inside of my forearm, so bad my hearing and sight were interconnecting, and started a confusion beyond any control. All of a sudden, a change in my body began. Cold, freezing muscles and nerves from my toes up to my legs to my lower back. The pain worsened, hallucinations of an iceberg, bales of hay, pine trees, and even little action figures that seemed so real it almost was like trying to be a hero. Then the creature touched beneath me, almost seemed to say, "This is my planet," and just swam teasingly below me. A voice with a message. "We are thousands of years old." It rang right through all of this, almost hypnotic, like with no remorse. I then got a vision of a female mermaid-like creature. "Just take it," I said to myself. "Nothing else close to this has ever happened to you." The speed at which this was happening was unbelievably fast and precise. I thought of fainting or dying, which seemed possible, but I could still move and swim, which made it feel like I was a test of will. Then all of a sudden, a change in my brain and spine felt as if it was totally, completely connected and moving together. Suddenly, I felt it. What I thought was causing all of this trauma, first it spun a web between my spine and skin on my lower back. As I tried to stretch out, it started another above, but slower and with a different pattern that almost felt like it was protecting me from the first one. This put me into an almost hypnotic state as I felt it crawl into my neck, onto the front side of my brain. It wiggled its legs and body and then turned to the right. The only thing I could think at this point was if I was going crazy, I might have tried to off myself. At this is still within 15 minutes. My right hip socket and femur started to act up. I could feel the whole thing precisely as if it was evolving. 3 little squares made an appearance to me, each like a growth, and to the exact make of my femur, the 3 squares attached to my hip socket. This caused another hallucination. A doll action figure that had cloth clothing and detachable limbs. All are still within 30-minute time limit. It stopped, and I got out of the water. Later, I learned that the clothing action figure was over 200 miles away, as if this whole experience was that large and planned out. When I thought it was over or fading away, it told me differently. This is as real as it gets. Please let me know if anyone has ever researched these mermaid connections. It happened so many years ago, and I relive it periodically like it's normal. I have not contacted anyone because of my hypnotic state. I believe I was touched and communicated with by some sort of ancient being, some sort of mermaid creature. So they supposedly do live. Steph, what's going on, brother? Patrick Sullivan, how are you? So Carl, how are you tonight? So supposedly, like the reptilians, there's like a certain type of reptilian that lives underwater in these caves that do have like a oxygen chamber. So Nicole Clark, how are you? Kathy Hayes' daughters, how are you? Adam Condon, what's going on? Got to lose 60 pounds so I can get a hip replacement. Beretta, you're in my prayers, brother. You're in my prayers. What's up, Solo Bro 420? How are you? Truth Quest. Yes, William Menendez. Multiple times. You've been with my channel for how long, William? And you're asking that question, brother? Come on now. Come on now. Really what, Brandy Boone? I don't understand. Really, Jeff? Exclamation points. Replace my pickup seat today. Bench seat or just like bucket seat, Adam? Bench seat, I bet you, hard pain in the ass. The end of this month, Patrick Sullivan. Captain chairs. Damn, yeah, that's... Larry Lemon, thank you so much for the blessings. 20 people. No shit. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. What's up, Bobby Koth? How are you? Nath. Bobby Nath. Larry, thank you so much for blessing people like that. I appreciate that. And thank you for helping my channel. I really do appreciate everything that you've done for my channel, Larry. My old 95 F-150. Yeah, they're a little heavy, aren't they? Steve Fire Pit Fun. I like that name. Steve Fire Pit Fun. That's a good name. That is a good name. Yeah, Tommy, you don't want to get a dry socket. Definitely not. Put some cotton in that shit and just leave it be. Ethan R., I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us. Larry Lidman. Much love to you, Larry. I appreciate you. Here is the dreaded lot lizard experience. No, this one will not be as good as last week's because last week's was just incredibly scary. I might create another one. Tyler Marshall, how are you? Judy Davis, how are you? I might create another one tonight while we're talking, but we'll see. This one, I wanted to see how that fucking AI shit created a lot lizard experience. So I typed in horror, lot lizard, prostitute, truck stop. So here we go. In the quiet town of Silver Creek, there lurked an urban legend that sent shivers down the spines of many truck drivers passing through the area. It was said that a horrifying creature roamed the truck stop late at night, preying on unsuspecting lot lizards, the truck stop prostitutes. One moonless night, a young truck driver named Jake pulled into the Silver Creek truck stop exhausted from a long journey. As he parked his big rig and settled in for the night, he heard a faint scratching outside his window. Thinking nothing of it, he closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. In the dead of the night, Jake was awakened by a strange sound coming from outside of his truck. He cautiously peered out the window, only to be met with the sight of a grotesque creature prowling the lot. The creature's skin was pale and sickly, its eyes glowing in ominous light. As Jake watched in horror, the creature suddenly lunged towards a nearby lot lizard, who let out a blood-curdling scream as she was dragged into the darkness. No! Terrified, Jake locked his doors and waited until morning. The next day, Jake shared his experience with fellow truckers, but they dismissed it as nothing more than a drunken hallucination. Determined to prove the existence of the creature, Jake set out to investigate. That night, Jake witnessed the creature once again, this time feeding on another unfortunate lot lizard. Heart pounding, Jake managed to capture a photo of the creature before it disappeared into the night. Armed with the evidence, Jake showed the photo to the local authorities, who were shocked by what they saw. It revealed that the creature was a mutated experiment gone wrong from a scientist from a nearby research facility. In the end, the creature was hunted down and destroyed, bringing peace back to the truck stop and bringing safety to all the lot lizards in Silver Creek. Yay! All the lot lizards are safe, guys. I will come up with a better one than that, I promise. I promise. Oh, shit. Jake did dodge the bullet. He did not, one, get the gonorrhea, and he didn't get eaten by a crawler. I was hoping for one of the two. 193 people, 92 people liked. Come on, guys, let's get those likes up, please. Larry Lindman, you sound like you're a man of experience. Troy, how are you, buddy? Brad was on the other night, Bobby Noth. Brad was on the other night, buddy. I already did, Enki. I already did. I'll do it in a little bit. Lot lizards are replaced by sex robots. Thank you, Nexus. I appreciate that. I'd give a lot lizard a try. That's fucking awesome. That is awesome. Tigger's being a jerk lately. He just wants to go downstairs and hang out. He doesn't want to be around me. He doesn't want to be around Belle. Like, I get up in the morning and I go out into the living room and I'll open the downstairs door to let him downstairs. And you can hear him. He'll run down the stairs, hit the door to my studio, run through my studio into the back room and just plop down on the couch down there. He's a big jerk. I'll bring him in a minute, Tommy. I promise. So, I got a really long Dogman experience, but I want to kind of save that for a little later because it is long, and this one's actually a little longer too. That's what she said. But this one is pretty cool. So I think what we'll do is we'll do one of these. $20 is $20. I know you like that. DB Mac likes it the most. Like, DB Mac's comments, every comment. Let me see if I can get Tiggy. Bye. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here, buddy. Come on, buddy. Come on, bud. He'll come in a second. What's going on, 007? How are you? Tori, it's not a necessity, but thank you. Where's that experience? Come here, bud. Let me shake something. I don't have anything to shake. Here we go. Bye. Here he comes. Here he comes. Here's our team. Here's our mascot.
Hi. Aw, come here. Everybody wants to say hi to you. Everybody wants to say hi to the buddy. Say hi, everybody. Say hi. There he is. There he is. There's a good boy. There's a good boy. Yeah. Good boy. He's melting right now into my arms. I had to double look at your comment, Joe. Aw, boy. Okay. Boom. Get my shirt all dirty. He purrs so loud. Yeah, Tigger is Maine Coon cat. He purrs so loud that you can hear him like when he's sleeping. If he's at the bottom of my bed, I can hear him purring. He's been talking a lot more lately. Like when I come down to see him, he's like, burr, 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 burr. Like, give me treats, dude. Give me some treats. I need some treats. I've only had 16 hand fills today. All right, this is a pretty creepy one. But the Mandela one, I got a Mandela effect one for you guys. This is not the Mandela one. I was in the forest that's part of the place called the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, one of the most haunted areas in the Northeast. I was in a specific part of it called Profile Rock with 3 of my friends. We were out there late. It was about 2:33 a.m. We were on our way walking down this long winding path to get back to our vehicles. Now, keep in mind, it's pitch black and we could only see from the moon shining through the trees. I don't know why I turned around. I didn't hear anything and didn't feel like anything was following us, but I turned around and looked to the back of us and I saw something running at us about 100 feet away. It was more black than the darkness around us. What scared me wasn't that something was running at us, it was how it was running at us. You know how a zombie walks in a horror film like it's dragging its leg, almost limping? That's how this thing was running at us, like it had broke its ankle or something. Initially, I thought it could be someone who had been injured in the woods or something until I saw this thing run past the moonlight. You know how a child draws a person as a stick figure? That's exactly what this thing looked like. It had no facial features. It had no face, just a completely blank-like stick figure. Its body looked the same from what I could see, no definition or anything. I called my friend, who was the closest to me, in a panicked voice. He glanced in the direction I was looking, which was now a moonlit area, and I could tell by his facial expressions that I was not seeing things. We both took flight and started running. My other 2 friends were up ahead and shot around and asked us what was wrong, to which I just replied, "Run!" I didn't look back once until we were near our car. It was gone, like it was never even there, though, by the time we had gotten to our car. I never knew exactly what that thing was. I did do a Google search, black stickmen sightings, and was horrified to find out that multiple people all over the world has seen something like it. Sometimes the unknown is better left unknown. Linman's leaving? Did I see? James, how are you? James Simon, how are you? Did Larry leave? I just saw someone say Larry left. George, how are you? Are there male lot lizards? I imagine so. I do. I will put together a male lot lizard experience shortly here. I'm thinking of one. What's up, Two Way? Sorry if I forgot to say hi to anybody. What is a male lot lizard called? A male lot lizard. Most definitely. It doesn't have a different name. It's still a lot lizard. It just lacks in things that truckers like to play with, but other truckers probably like to play with things like that. I don't know. Hang on 1 second here. Let me check something. You got to check and see how this is doing. Near. And then check this. And then I got like 18 things going on right now. It's so. In order to do the live stream, I literally have to I get up in the morning and I'll upload first thing. And then I literally, I mowed the lawn this morning. That was about the only time I got to myself. And then I just worked all day, recorded shit, just so I'd have today ready for the, it's getting hot. Today ready for tonight. So. Brandy Boone, I don't know. I've never been that close to a lot lizard to find out. What's up, Rita? How are you tonight? What's up, Krypton? Krypton Born's in the house with us. Thanks, Janie. Thank you, Jane. Maybe that's what a male lot lizard's called. A lollipop. That's what we'll call him. Or a bearded dragon. Jennifer Eubank. That's a good one. A bearded dragon. Ooh, I never thought about that. A bearded dragon. Brittany Brown, how are ya? I've been pretty much full gray for a long time, Michael. I started going gray in my 20s. I think Coolio wrote a song about that, Robert Sharp. Trucker's Paradise. I saw your experience. I saw that, William, but I don't respond well to people telling me things like that, to what to do. So I'll do it when I want. Mindy Meeks, thank you Weeks, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Steve-O, what's going on, buddy? Anyway, William Mendez, I had an experience lined up prior to it, so nope. And then maybe I'll do it. Bobby Schultz, how are you? A few years ago, this is one that I wanted to share because I read this. Excuse me. When I read this, I instantly thought of Jimmy Patanito, Mr. Haunted, the guy that I interviewed a couple weeks back that worked with the Warrens and knew Father Malachi Martin. He wrote a book about the dead contacting us through computer, phone, and such. So this one literally kind of pulled at my heartstrings a little bit. A few years ago, a good friend of ours was in a severe car accident in which the passenger was in critical condition, whom I didn't know, and the driver, who was our friend, was also in critical but worse condition. Within the first 12 hours, our friend, who I will refer to as Mary from here on out, died at the hospital. I am unsure of the fate of the passengers, as I didn't know them, but I believe they all survived. Originally, the news of her death was brought to me by another friend and later confirmed it when I looked it up and saw it on the news webpage, stating her full first and last name, which, might I add, is not a common last name at all, but don't feel comfortable disclosing that here. Circumstances of the accident and location of the accident, After a couple of days of checking for an obituary to get funeral details, I eventually saw it around day 2 or 3, but unfortunately, it said the family wished to have a private funeral open only to relatives. Death was not a new thing to me, as I unfortunately already had a few friends pass by this point. But it was pretty unsettling not being able to say goodbye to my friend at her funeral, as I usually would as the norm. Fast forward 3 to 4 months or so. I'm going about my daily routine and coming up to a 4-way stop sign at nearly the same time as another car. The other car pulled up to the stop sign perpendicular to my right. I remember this so vividly and I'll never forget it. Knowing a car was there, I probably glanced at my phone for a second to let them go ahead. And some loud screaming caught my ear over the sound of the radio. I blow it off for a second, but it continues with increased frequency. I look over really quick, look forward again, and then it crosses my mind. No way in hell. And I look back over, and damn it, if it isn't Mary leaning out of her window of that other car, waving her arms all around and screaming my name, trying to get my attention. The weirdest chill and feeling came over my body, literally as if I am seeing a ghost and questioning my sanity on whether or not I'm seeing things. At this point, I yell out the window to tell her to turn right and pull over on the first street, which is within eyesight. I get out of my car and I'm literally stuttering and don't have the first clue of what to say. And she just decides at that point to lean in and give me a hug. She was solid. I could feel her hugging me. So at that point, I was assured, skip ads, I was assured that she was not a ghost. LOL. I explained to her how I'd grieved her death and how I saw her obituary and everything, and she thought I was half crazy. I wish I could explain the way it feels to see somebody you knew was dead for a few months and then be able to hug them and have a chat with them in the most unexpected way possible. But I don't even know if there's a word in the English language to describe that. Now, this is where things get interesting, is after sharing all these details, I knew of her passing an accident. Everything matched up, minus her death part. But I vividly remember seeing her obituary and a news article with her name and all of the details of the accident that I explained to her. She actually did get in a terrible accident and was released from the hospital a couple weeks before I saw her, after she had spent a couple months in the hospital. The exact road and location I told her were correct spots as well. The first 30 days she was in the hospital, she was in a coma and had a rough recovery with many surgeries following. So it was not minor by any means. Later that day, I tried finding her obituary and news article, but they were nowhere to be found. But where did I get all that info from? This has been weird for a while, but for the longest time, I blew it off as if someone with the same name and similar location, but I couldn't even find that either. The likelihood of someone with her exact unusual name is highly unlikely too. Not sure if there's a glitch or if I shifted timelines. Bobby, I'm glad that you're here with us. I really am. Yeah, that's just weird. What's up, gringo? How are you? St. Louis, how are you? Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I was actually talking to James today. Me and James had a really great conversation, Dark Waters. We talked for about an hour. I wanted to text him like a couple of days ago and make sure he was okay because of the storms and the hurricanes and shit down south. And thank God he is. But it was nice to talk to him. Shifting timelines is a thing. You're absolutely right. web surfer. I wondered that too when I read that. I was like, whoa, I wonder if like because of the traumatic like effect this death had on this person, maybe they did shift timelines. Maybe they maybe she crossed over into an alternate, like this other person, who knows? But it was really freaking creepy. Is William Menendez still in here? William Menendez, are you still in here? Tell me yes or no. 4,000, you're going to bed? Oh, Simone's going to bed? No cap bussin'. What's up, brother? William, I've got a Dogman experience for you. You asked twice. I'm asking if you're back still. Wait, what's going on with no cap? I just saw them that they were here. What's up, Dogman? I lied up with the flu. Oh, no cap. I hope you're feeling better, brother. Drink some tea. Some chaga. If you can get your hands on chaga tea, that'll help you out, bub. That'll help you out good. William Mendez, where are you? William! Son of a gun. No one back home. How are you, my friend? You usually watch me on TV? I wouldn't want to see me on TV. Jesus Christ. I'd be like, let's change this sumbitch right off here. All right. Dogman encounter, and this one is freaking crazy. So you know how we talk about them being in the city, St. Louis with Victor. There was one in New York City, like in the early 1900s and such. This one happened in Baltimore. I was a Baltimore police detective, and I was on the show The Wire. No, I'm just kidding. I added that. I was a Baltimore police detective, and at the time, in the early 2021, I worked directly out of the Northern District in the city. On the night in question, I was in my office at home late at night in suburban Howard County, Maryland. I live alone. I often would find myself unable to sleep at night, so I would head to my office to work. That particular evening, I was going through case files that I was working on, and I heard an unusual noise. It was just different enough from anything I was used to hearing around the house that it caught my attention. Not to mention, it was around 2 a.m. It sounded like something heavy was hitting the ground. It was coming from the yard behind my house. I stood up and cocked my head to the side to try and pinpoint the exact location. But as I listened closer, I realized that it sounded like it might actually be closer to the house, like right outside of the kitchen in the back. I stepped away from my desk and moved toward my office door. My office was just down the hall from the kitchen, so I opened the door slowly and stepped out to investigate. But first, I listened again to be sure I was correct on the direction it was coming from. And sure enough, I heard it again from the area outside of the kitchen. I started to make my way down the hallway, and as I got closer to the noise, it grew louder. I reached the kitchen and looked toward the door. The noise had gone silent, almost like whatever was making the noise knew I was listening. I slowly and very quietly opened the door to the outside. When I did, I was shocked at what I was looking at. Standing on my patio, moving around and making the noise, was a creature unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was about 7 feet tall, totally covered in black and reddish-brown fur. It had a long snout with teeth protruding at odd angles. The creature turned toward me when the door opened, almost like it instinctively knew I was there. I was totally quiet when I opened that door. The creature quickly focused on me and lunged toward me, hissing. I quickly stepped back inside, shutting the door. I had to think fast and determine a suitable plan of action. I decided to head back to my office, where I hoped to watch it undetected from my office window. I proceeded to look through the window, but it wasn't long before I heard sounds of the creature breaking into my house through the kitchen door. I pulled out my gun and aimed it down the hallway. As I slowly opened the office door, I could hear but not see the creature in the kitchen. I listened as if it was moving around with a lot of force and stepping heavily on my wooden floors. I could also hear it snorting as it moved around. It sounded like something right out of a horror flick. I thought that if I just stayed quiet, it may leave, which would have been the optimal outcome. I listened to it for a while it moved in the kitchen, but then I heard it going into the dining room. I could hear glass breaking, furniture being shoved around. It seemed to be very angry. I finally opened my office door all the way and stepped out completely into the hallway and slowly walked toward the dining room with my gun still raised. As soon as I got close, I peeked my head around the corner. It turned its head toward me and instantly started to growl. It had this angry look on its face with a human-like expression. I sensed that it wanted to tear me apart. Right then and there. But instead of rushing and attacking me, it suddenly went silent again. It quickly rushed back to the kitchen and hurled itself through the back door. I didn't know what to think at that point. On one hand, I was relieved that it had left, but at the same time, I somehow felt concerned that it may return at some point. I decided then and there I would find out more about this creature. My confusion and fear turned into anger. I wanted to know who or what this thing was and why it had come to my house. I've done a lot of research, mainly online, but it's been difficult to find anything that really matches what happened to me. I wonder why it came to my house and what it was looking for. The other descriptions online were generally similar. It was bipedal, pointed ears, large yellow tinged eyes, canine-like teeth. It also had a very pungent, sulfur-like odor that I can still smell in my memory. My research led me to wanting to share this. Thank you. Liz, how are you, Liz? Oh. Steph, have a good night, buddy. Be safe this week. William, I shared a Dogman story with you. I was just busting your balls, buddy. I know you didn't mean any disrespect, bud. You've been with the channel for a while. You know I bust balls. Apparently, the Draco reptiles have recently entered into a peace deal. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I'd be moving too, especially out of freaking Baltimore. Like you're in Maryland. You're like right there. No, I believe you. I believe you. I just said I'd believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? I actually I'm gonna have Terry, a guy named Terry who used to write and draw for Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper, William Milton Cooper, had a newspaper called Veritas, and he was the comic illustrator and writer for him. I'm going to have him on sometime this week to share some of this really interesting stuff. I got a bunch of questions that I wrote down. So if any one of you guys, I know a lot of you know who Bill Cooper is. If any of you guys have like a question, only one question, I don't need an email with 800 questions. But if you got a question that you maybe read Behold the Pale Horse and you want to know something, send it to me and I will ask. All right. Truth Quest. By the end of this month, I said, you probably didn't hear it. It was early last week. I had said it. That'd be a good song, William. I'd listen to that. What I think Depeche Mode wrote a song about Dogman, or Duran Duran. Depeche Mode or Duran Duran did. Not a big fan of Megadeth. Not a big fan of Dave Mustaine. I love Suicidal Tendencies. That's why I'm not a big fan of Megadeth, because Dave Mustaine wanted to bring me down. That was a Suicidal Tendency joke, if you guys didn't get that. Glenn, I don't know what happened to your dog, but I'm sorry. You can't bring me down. Megadeth 5 times. I've seen them once. Oh, Glenn, man, I am so sorry. That sucks, my friend. God. It's the worst because, pets are like our best friend. I was looking at Tigger today thinking of how much I loved him. And I was like, I think I love him more than my daughters. I really do, though. Like, he doesn't do anything, My favorite band is, right now I'm listening to a lot of Mr. Bungle and a lot of the Melvins, Fantomas, Melvin's big band project, Peeping Tom. Anything with Mike Patton in it is probably my favorite music to listen to, except I love Old Faith No More, but it's just compared to what he's doing now. Lunatic Fringe is a great song. Lunatic Fringe. Suicidal Tendencies may be putting out a new album this year, though. And the Deftones. Deftones are supposed to be putting a new album out. You heard it here first. Dogman channel, music channel, Deftone lover. Lot Lizard mess around her. Just kidding. We all like a little lot lizard. A little bit of strange every once in a while. What the fuck is wrong with you? No Messino? No, I never heard of them. Marty Friedman era. Yeah, that's like their first 3 albums, right, Glenn? Crosses has got some bangers, buddy. No means no. You know it. Oh, Beretta, that'd be sick. What caliber would totally take out a Dogman? 2 Malamutes about a year ago. Dude, yeah, buddy. Shit. Right at the same time? 4,000? Damn. I don't know. I carry a 12 gauge with it's the rounds that I use are Federal Protection or whatever they're called, and it's a slug with 3 double-aught buck coming out at once at it. So, and I've got that in my Caltech. So, yeah, but Russ, you're really not going to be carrying around a 50 BMG and 458 SOCOM. I've got one, but they're kind of overplayed. 7.62 308 would definitely take one out. A really good shot in the face would take one out with a 5.56. I mean, 5.56 did split him in half. No, Jennifer Eubank. Nope. Different song. Hang on. I'll tell you right now. Hang on. Depeche Mode Dogman song. Depeche Mode werewolf song. No, it wasn't Depeche Mode. Duran Duran werewolf song.
According to
Nope,
Wikipedia,
not Hungry Like a Wolf. Lie to Me, Extended Wolf, Enjoy the Silence. What song was written by Depeche Mode about a werewolf? It came out last year. It was a new song from last year. Sun and the Moon? No. I'll think of it while I'm doing this. It was last year. I know it was Depeche Mode or Duran Duran. I think it was Depeche Mode because they put out a new album last year. Depeche Mode's new album.
the first two are Ghosts Again and People Are Good. I have 12 answers in total.
Okay. Hang on one second. Ghosts Again. What song was it? Memento Mori. Was that it? Yeah, I think that was it. Cosmos, Wagging the Tongue. People Are Good. My Favorite Stranger. I think it was newest Duran Duran album.
According to
That's
Wikipedia,
it. It's right here.
Danse Macabre is the 16th studio album by English rock band Duran Duran.
I got it. Got it, guys. Got it. Okay. Black Moonlight. I believe the song is Black Moonlight. Black Moonlight, Bury Your Friend, Supernature, Dance Macabre, Secret, Spellbound, Psycho Killer. Yeah, so it's on Duran Duran's Dance Macabre album. I knew I'd find it. Found it. I ain't gay, but $20 is $20. Joey, you're moving to Cali? Jeff had a Dogman experience in the 80s in California in the woods, always in my mind. You, William Menendez, had a Dogman experience in the 80s? Richard, what's going on? Type that sumbitch out and send that to me, please. You did, Krypton? I didn't get your email yesterday, bud. Do me a favor and try again, because I really didn't get it yesterday. Please try like when we're on the show so I can get notification and let you know. Because I swear, like I literally check and Catalina, how are you? I'm well. Jen Cox, how are you? Good night, Jeff. Good night, everyone. Going to watch you on TV. Thanks, Jeff. Oh, known back home. Thank you, my friend. Is the cop? The cop is down there. He's just parked down the road just a bit. I had to it was funny because I had to bring Abby, my oldest daughter, to the store this morning, and we circled the block, and I'm like, I told you every Saturday they're there. And she's like, the feds are watching you, Daddy. She goes, you're going to end up in a van someday and nobody's going to know where you are. I'm like, awesome. Thanks, bud. Mac Bolin, did you know there used to be a paperback novel about a guy and they called him? No, I didn't, David Thompson. Web surfer, she does. She does. She watches my channel. Belle likes to jump on the live stream because she knows it drives me insane. But Abigail will watch like my channel, like my videos, when I go out in the woods to see what I catch. And she said, Daddy, the scariest thing on that compilation video that you made of all the stuff that happened up there was when the thing responded back to you from the shofar, that and the metallic noises. And I was like, yeah. No, McCloud, I'm not. I'm actually a original Christian, but that's a pretty stupid comment. And thanks, Jane. Are you? And what would matter if I was, you dipshit? Savage Lunatic, what's going on? Probably 59th. They probably do dirty stuff to my booter. Haven't seen you in a while, Savage. All right, let me check right now, Krypton. Let me check. Nope, didn't get it. Let me check my spam, bud. Let me check my spam. Wow, it went to my spam. I did get it in my spam. All right, let me move this. Hang on 1 second, guys. Report not spam. Put it in. Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sorry I missed it. I apologize. I really do. Krypton didn't do anything, 59th. Krypton's good. Don't delete Krypton's messages. No, you're good, my friend. You're good. I'm glad we got together finally. Mac Bolin novels were called The Executioner. He was kind of like a Punisher type character. No shit. I got to check that out. I really am interested in that now. Huh. Liz is here. Liz is right above you, Michael. Andy, what's going on, brother? How are you? No way, Michael. I live in Redlands. Lunatic Fringe! Yes! You're back! How are you? I love it when I see people that I haven't seen in a long time. All right, I got a black-eyed kid story for you. You know who we're missing is Aramic. We're missing Aramic tonight. Need me to hurt somebody? Not yet, Andy Davis. Not yet. I'll keep you on a short leash for a little bit later, all right, brother? All right, black-eyed kids experience. This is pretty creepy. My mom and I were watching a movie late one evening, around 12 years ago. It was the summertime, so I didn't have to worry about school or anything. We heard someone knocking at our door. We lived in an apartment complex and figured it was one of our neighbors or our cousin who lived across the parking lot from us. Mom opened the door and I went with her since the kitchen was beside the door to grab a snack. We both instantly felt uncomfortable near the door, and I could see she was talking to a kid who couldn't have been any older than 8 years old. And she was asking to come in because she couldn't find her mom. And she was persistent on coming in. For some reason, my mom and I were dead set on refusing to let her in. So she offered to hand her her phone. She nodded and she went to grab the phone from the table by the door. And when she looked back, the girl was gone. My mom was freaked out, and so was I. She told me the part that made her the most uncomfortable was her eyes were completely black, but she played it off like some kind of trick of the light. Eventually, a few years later, I was reading urban legends, myths, and supernatural stuff, and I came across black-eyed children. I nearly shat myself. This was in suburban Illinois, Indiana. We later found out, and it was in the news, that an apartment complex had been built atop of a sacred native burial ground. I don't know if that had any relation to the black-eyed kids or not, but it made me wonder. I still believe, for whatever reason, the girl was a spirit. I think that she simply vanished like a ghost would. My mom doesn't share my sentiment. Randy, have a good night. Simon Ferrezzo. Rascal, the owner of Rascal, is in the chat right now with you. His name's Robert Sharp. So you can ask him how he feels about it. Thank you, 4,000. Appreciate you. I had a red-eyed kid experience. Send that. Send it. Send it. I know that some of you guys, Jeff, just don't know what he's created here. Yes, I do. I see the comments. I know that I got batteries and candles. I know that some of you guys like the Fae experiences and fairies and such. So I found a pretty good one that I wanted to share with you guys. I try to look for like multiple different kind of experiences and such. You know, Lake 17, I've often wondered where Thunderbolt is. Thunderbolt either got eaten by a spider because he loved spider experiences, or I hope nothing bad happened. I really do. I grew up on the west coast of Ireland in County Galway. One night when I was around 16 years of age, I woke up in the middle of a gale with rain pelting the windows and wind whistling through the cracks. Now on this night, there was only myself, my mom, and my sisters inside the house, as my dad was away mending the cattle due to it being calving season. Normally, I'd be helping him out, birthing calves and the like, but not so on this night. We had these spotlights to illuminate the outside of the house, and one of these spotlights shone directly up into my window. And even with the curtains closed, it would brighten up my room. The shadows of the branches and the long blades of grass would project out onto my ceiling, and the gale, being what it was, caused a frantic wildness to characterize this night's shadow play. I watched the shadows on the ceiling and listened to the wind roar outside for a while. In fairness, though, I was busting to relieve myself. So I sat up to take off my blanket and looked over to the door. My view of the door was such that I couldn't, from the bed, see into the hallway unless the door was wholly ajar. The door was only slightly a crack, but it was open enough to allow the width of a human arm in. And there, extending into the room, was just that. The arm was pale white, and judging by the shape of the hand on the end, it appeared to be female. It had a classic shroud-like sleeve ending a few inches from the wrist. It waved palm side down for 5 seconds and then retracted. Now the gale and the lights and the shadows were all bearable. Even the arm and the hand would have been grand enough. I could have pegged it down as sleep paralysis, but God, the way the arm retracted back into the hallway, the way the door handle moved downward as the arm retracted, and the way the door slammed after that, I couldn't breathe. You guys hear that? Someone just burnt out. The way the door closed made me sweat. I began to roar and shout. Managed to get my bedside lamp on and covers off and began running around my room, opening the door to the hallway into the nothingness. Not a soul awake in the house beside myself and the ghost. I ran at 16 years of age into my mom's room, roaring my arse off about ghosts. She woke up and clearly told me to shut up. You'll wake up your sisters. Well, I calmed down and slept on the floor in my mom's room that night. Now, the house had been built by my mom and dad. No one had died here. Nothing else, even slightly paranormal, happened in the house before or since. A few weeks later, though, I was talking to a neighbor, an old alcoholic bachelor who had lived in the area his entire life. I told him about the ghost, and his wiry smile got wider and laughed. Well, sure isn't that bit of land your folks built the house on is called Knocknasai by the old people of the village. And sure, in Irish, doesn't that mean the hills of the fairies? Cheers to Chow. How are you? This is the second time buddies came in tonight. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Aw, you go, boy. You say hi to everybody? Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Say bye. Ow, fucker. What's up, Nick Hendricks? How are you tonight? He is kind of happy tonight. He's a little sketched out because someone did a burnout because we have a store, kind of a gas station store, and people like to burn out when they pull out. Edwin K., how are you? He is a sweet kitty. I'm not really sure yet, Tommy. Not really sure. Everybody has a crush on Caden. I got a reptilian experience for you all. The Senegal parrot named Rudy. My buddy had a parrot. It was an African gray. It was his mom's parrot. And when we were younger, we were still in high school. His mom and dad had gotten divorced, and they were really rich. They owned a hotel up here. And so she was renting this beautiful condo. So they ended up getting back together, and me and my friend Travis pretty much moved into the condo. Well, Trav lived there anyway with his mom, but she left Dylan, the parrot, there with us. And you guys see my big honking zit on my forehead right there? Look at that thing. So Dylan was this beautiful African gray, and we'd come home from school. We were in like 11th grade, and we had this little bong. It was like this big, and we'd keep it in the freezer all day long with ice in it. So we'd come home and do frosty bong hits and listen to the Gravediggers. And when we'd hit the bong and cough, Dylan, the parrot, would imitate our cough. So all you'd hear is he'd like copy everything. It was so funny. Boom Squad. Lot lizards are a joke. They're not a cryptid. They're a prostitute that lives or that works at truck stops. Reptilians and lizard people are the same. Lot lizards are just a joke, the channel joke, kind of. Vincent, how are you? Josh, how are you? But yeah, he would imitate everything. Like he would, even down to us, like holding it in, like he would imitate that. Hang on one second. I gotta get my dual pod. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. What's up, Freddie? Freddie F-Ups. How are you? My parents had peacocks. I hate them because in the middle of peacocks, no shit, dude. Peacocks are they're mean, aren't they? They're mean birds. Inquisitive, long time no see. How are you? Wow, Lunatic Fringe decided to come back and Inquisitive. Wow, it's nice to see you. Peacocks are feisty. I remember one time, I only remember this because like we went to this there's this kind of amusement park in York, Maine. And my dad does not like birds. He just doesn't like birds for some reason because they shit on things, he says. So by the peacocks were llamas. And my mom gave me like 50 cents to get the corn to feed the peacocks. Ooh. He's going to get them. Get that $20, baby. So I'm throwing the corn to the peacocks. And my dad is looking at this llama, and the llama spits right on my dad's face. And it was the greatest thing ever I've ever seen. He just right in his face. Good stuff. 5-0. Yeah, they're probably chasing the drag strip guy. All right, here we go, team. My boyfriend experienced something very unusual, and I'm reaching out to see if anyone has ever had an experience like this or not. This occurred in northwestern North Carolina, 2022. He and his partner at the time, I already read this one. I'm not reading that one again. I fucking messed up. Sorry. I read that one and I don't want people to get mad at me. I'm sorry. Sorry. Tina Jefferson, how are you? I know. Live from upstate New York. It's Cops, Glen Swalls edition. Bad boys, bad boys. This one's good. His lives aren't live right now, though, Liz. His lives are vertical lives, they're called. So he's not live at that time. 175 is asking about Patreon. I can't find it. Does your channel have Patreon? This work must financially. Yes, I have a Patreon. if you type in my email in Patreon, it pops up, I believe. Or my Patreon is in the channel's description. Thanks, Janie. Tina Jefferson, thank you. If you listen to it, it's not live. It's hard to explain. It's a vertical live. Yeah, I don't know. It's too hard to explain. See, what he does is he pre-records it and puts it up live instead of as an upload. Hence the vertical live. The chat is live, but he's not live. Does that explain it any better? It's just a thing that YouTube allows creators to do. But if you listened, you'd realize, oh, he's not live, because he's not responding to people talking. It'd be key point. When someone's not responding, must not be live. Why are people ignorant to the existence of cryptids in the city? I don't think they're ignorant, William. I think it's the fact that they just aren't. They're not in the rural area. They've not been in the woods to experience like the silence or the creepiness. But I mean, people in the city are not ignorant to paranormal, like ghosts and such, but maybe they just don't, because they live in the city, they don't think they'll ever see something, if that makes any sense. The mods respond because that's their job, Liz. It's a vertical live. I don't know why I'm arguing. Like, I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to explain something that, like, it's a YouTube thing that only YouTube creators know about. And I'm trying to explain it to you, and you're like, all right. I still have chills. My encounter does not match 100% to others I have heard, but I am positive it has something to do with black-eyed children. So this was about April 2019. I live in a decent-sized city in the western United States. My job at the time was in a restaurant where I worked late at night, sometimes until 1 a.m. The job wasn't far from my apartment, so I would walk back every night. My place was kind of a rundown part of town. Imagine a lot of abandoned lots. Basically, at that time of the night, there would be no one around except people like me making their way home. So I'm walking down the road leading up to my place at night. I'm looking down at my phone, and when I lift my head up, I see two kids, probably 40 to 50 feet away, holding hands and walking in my direction. This is odd because the road is a pretty straight shot. There wouldn't be that many alleyways or side streets for them to come out of unless they were just hanging out at an empty lot. They were too far away to make out the details, but I was sure they had to be young kids. This on itself was unsettling, but the way they started to behave after this was what sent me into caution mode. These two stepped off the curb, looked both ways, and crossed the street. There was no need to do that on a completely deserted road. But I thought, Whatever, kids are taught to look both ways before crossing. That would have been fine, except then after walking maybe 10 or more feet, they stepped off again, looked both ways, crossed back over to the side they were just on. They did this 4 or 5 times right in front of me. I could tell at this point it was a boy 13 and a girl maybe 9. Their clothes were not exactly like other black-eyed children's I have heard. They were wearing old-time they weren't wearing old-time rags. Instead, they were in these gray PJ-looking things with white shoes. Now, I'm a pretty big guy, 6'1", 240. I've been stopped by all kinds of junkies and weirdos and always thought I could handle myself. Despite that, I felt terrified by these 2 little kids. They came up to me, even though their eyes were not solid black, their pupils seemed to be very dark and almost glow. They stopped dead in front of me, and the boy said, "We're lost. Our parents must be worried," in a straight, monotone voice. You'd think that 2 lost children in the ghetto at 1 a.m. would be frantic and crying. The girl then chimes in, "We need to use your phone at your house. Our parents must be worried." She talked in the same matter-of-fact way. I told them they could use my cell phone, or I could call the police for them. They didn't say a thing, and the boy just said again, "Our parents are worried." In no other situation would I leave 2 kids defenseless, but something in my gut told me to get the hell out, so I walked past them. After about a block, I looked back and saw them continuing in the other direction, repeatedly crossing the street again. It was one of the most unsettling things I had ever experienced. Candy Kelly, how are you? I just saw something about Ohio. Hang on. Columbus, Ohio. I had a subscriber that had an interesting experience in Columbus. People in the city have a way of not seeing things. Yes. I think there's a lot more crawlers. I think with like the sewers and the abandoned buildings, I think crawlers are more predominant than a Dogman or a Bigfoot would be in a city. But Dogmen have been spotted once in New York City back in like 1908 or something like that, 1913. It had run down Broadway. It had actually knocked a police officer over. Another police officer had shot it, and it ran again towards the other cop. They had shot it again, and supposedly it lied dead on a sewer drain or a water drain on the street. It's an old story. It was in the newspapers back then, actually. I'll have to find it. I have a whole pile of news clippings. Well, not original news clippings, but ones that are printed out. Yeah, I looked for Sanhoff's email and I couldn't find it. Columbus, Ohio. So the guy was a truck driver, and he had pulled into I think it was like a pallet place or something like that, and he had seen this Dogman on this building, and it had messed with him. I don't remember the exact details of the story. It's if you type in Jeff Nadolny and then type in Ohio, it'll come up via YouTube. So like, if you ever want to hear like an experience that I did and you don't remember the title or the day, like you can type up Jeff Nadolny in the search bar and put Ohio or Victor or Brad or whatever, and it'll come up. Yeah, I don't think the Fae have anything to do with the missing 411, John, to be honest with you. There was that guy in England that made that video, and the old guy that had caught videos of Fae, and I only do that because I don't think they were Fae. I think they were something else. I think they were really fucking creepy. What's up, Hardith? And he just stopped making videos for a year, and people thought he got abducted by Fae. I forget the guy's name. What, Andy? Jeff, do you think dogmen live underground? Possibly. Caves and such. I think that they use caves. I think Bigfoot. I've never heard of a black-eyed kid homeless person experience yet. But I mean, how many homeless people are going to come forth? You know, it's sad, but they're not going to come forth and say, hey, I experienced this. Unfortunately, I wish they would, because damn well they experience a lot of stuff, and I feel bad for them. Like the homeless in California, in San Bernardino, are supposedly getting hunted by Dogman. You know, that's some scary shit right there. Lake Michigan. Huh, I'd like to hear that one, lunatic. Where's that one? I had, I thought I had, yes, I do. I do have more than that. Hang on. I know I had, here we go. Here's the goodies. All right. This is pretty creepy. I'm originally from Muncie, Indiana. I grew up spending a lot of time at Prairie Creek because my family has a boat there. It was the summer of 2007, and we took a boat ride and watched the sunset. It was dusk and the sun was setting as we approached our dock. As we got closer, my friend and I both saw what looked like a human standing at the end of our dock and thought it was strange because there was no one else around. Our neighboring boats were all docked. There were no other cars around, etc. We were the only ones out that evening from our docked area. Then it turned around and we saw its glowing yellowish eyes. At this point, we're freaked out, wondering what this was, because there was something totally off about it, and it was clearly not a human. Then, as we got closer, it seemed to spread its wings, flapping them a few times, and soared into the sky. It was way too big to be a bird. I've never seen anything like this before or after. It was probably around 5 to 6 feet tall, very dark. Its whole body and wings were a grayish black. Not sure if this is of interest, but my family and I also saw a UFO at Prairie Creek Reservoir around dusk as well a few years later. We were the only boat on the water. It was such a serene, quiet, peaceful evening. My mom looked up in the sky and saw a UFO, so we all looked up. It looked like a tin can. It stayed still, making no noise. At an instant, my dad caught a fish, and the commotion caused us to look away. And a few seconds later, we looked back, and it was gone. Hang on. DC, do me a favor. Whatever you were just talking about, was it a Dogman encounter that the person ended their lives from because of? Yes, Web Surfer, 100%. Vincent Shriver, are you new to the channel? Because I have about 100 videos about deep underground military bases. And I was just talking about the guy that worked for Bill Cooper coming on the channel this week. Yeah. No, you're not. Okay, because I've done a ton of videos about them. So yeah. And put the map in some of those videos. No, it was a demon. And they ended up taking their lives. Star Hill Road. Is that the road where you can go down like this and it stops or whatever? You roll uphill or whatever? Is that it, Mega? Anyway, back to the demon thing. I don't want to give his name away. I forgot his name that we use as an alias. Robert. Robert was a deputy in North Carolina at one time. He was a sheriff's deputy. And he had seen Dogman a couple different times. He had experienced when he was a child and such. And then his wife and he were outside grilling one time. And he had already had kind of his first adult Dogman experience. There was this abandoned house in this kind of like really rural part of the town. And he drove through, and at night that was part of their routine, drive through this house area and make sure no kids were partying there. He had drove through and he had seen these glowing red eyes in the house. And he had noticed that one looked like this huge dog-like creature. So he started to really become familiar with what Dogmen were. Couple years go by, and him and his wife, they lived deep in the woods. There's a road for Dale Earnhardt. I forget the name of the road, but they lived off of that. And where their backyard was, it butted up to this like deep section of woods. Well, they're cooking, they're grilling, and he's on the patio or the deck, and his wife is handing him the steak through the kitchen window. He goes to get the steak. He turns, and as he's turning, he hears his wife kind of let out this shudder. And he turns, and there's a Dogman in their yard. They all stare at each other for some time, and it takes off into the woods. A couple of years go by, and they end up divorcing and such. She mentally couldn't get over the experience. And it doesn't seem like it's that big of an experience because it didn't touch her. It didn't but it really is mentally for some people. So she ended up getting divorced from him, and she moved to Arizona, and she would talk about it all the time. And she got hooked on drugs and ended up taking her life essentially because of the Dogman experience she had. And it was just really sad. I don't know. Yes, Joseph Cannon. Yes, you exactly remember. Yes. His dad had the first taxi service in North Carolina. His dad had actually had an experience. It was a tragic story. Like, it wasn't like, this dog man came up and, grabbed the house or did anything, but she just mentally couldn't deal with the fact that these creatures exist in the woods. And she's like, we need to split. It's sad. It's tragic. I agree 100%, Web Surfer. There needs to be more. There needs to be a support group. Unfortunately, I think it would honestly, the support group would have to be kind of anonymous. And I think that, because I really think there'd be people that write books and people that have YouTube channels that are just fiending for views that would infiltrate these groups, hear their experiences, and put them out when they don't want them out. Because there is a lot of people that can't share this shit, that mentally just can't share it. And there needs to be like a group where people can sit and talk and say, hey, I've had this happen to me. I don't feel comfortable hearing it on the internet, but this happened to me before. I think I read about that a while ago, Forbidden Planet. I did read about that a long while ago. I guess I don't like doing it, Andy, but I guess I'm not. It's like, I guess this one time, but I hate doing it. It's a pain in the ass, and I'm not people's secretaries. So I guess this last time I'll do it, but I'm not going to do it if anyone asks again. I'll do it, Andy, for you. There was this really weird occurrence at my dad's house a few years ago. He awoke to the sound of dogs barking and realized the neighborhood dogs were barking a lot. Something was moving parallel to the road. When his own dogs started to bark, he went outside to see what was up. Across the street, it was pretty much all forest except a church directly across the street that at the time had a gravel lot. My dad was too far away to see anything, but in the dead of night, he could definitely hear the sound of someone running at full tilt across the gravel. A few things freaked him out about this. Whatever it was definitely ran bipedal. Try having a dog run on gravel versus a human, and you can tell the difference. And it was big. Both myself and I have witnessed large animals like bear and moose running through underbrush, and according to my dad, it sounded like it was a similar size to those creatures. It was easily running somewhere to 40 to 50 miles an hour in the clearing of a lot, then slowed down again as it went back into the woods. He was able to compare the speed because the road itself was 45 miles an hour, so it was going just as fast as a car was passing. The final thing, its huffing and gasping was so loud, he could hear it from the front door, and it was obviously not a human. We looked online later to compare it to a sound, and no other animals matched. The freakiest part about this is the reactions the dogs had. He never heard dogs react like that before. Both he and my stepmom and stepbrother and several of the neighbors can account for hearing strange barking from the dogs, but it was only my dad who heard what they were after. Nothing happened like that since, and I have never personally witnessed anything like it. We do live right on the border of the Cascade Mountain Range and are surrounded by a park and federal land, if you want to get a good idea of where this took place. I got you, Andy. Just send me an email. DC and Andy, send me an email and I'll do it. Hang on a second. I got it. Oh. Okay, I had to adjust. How much faster can Dogman run than Bigfoot? I guess. Well, supposedly, according to Victor, Dogmen run roughly 20 miles an hour faster than a Bigfoot, supposedly. I don't think we'll ever see, Simon, I don't think we'll ever see a zoo with dogmen in it, to be honest with you. Tommy caught it. I think if the government ever knew that shit was going to go down, they would put an end to it real fast. Real fast. What's up, Only the Shadow Knows? How are you? Only the Shadow Knows the Void. Oh, that's a cool name. I like that. In 1998, I was a senior in high school. Skip the ads quick. In 1998, I was a senior in high school taking a late night ride with my boyfriend near his house in Naperville, Illinois. We were sneaking out to have a cigarette. As we are driving along the street slowly with both windows completely down, had a Mustang and didn't want to wake the neighborhood up with the loud exhaust, so we heard this loud screech in the distance. We looked at each other and confirmed that we both heard the same thing. He slowed down to completely stop and listen. All of a sudden, coming from the left side of the driver's side of the front windshield appeared this gargoyle-like thing. It was 4 feet in height with wings front claws, reptilian-like skin, and large glowing eyes. The color is hard to make out. It was almost transparent. As it flew in front of the windshield, literally over the hood of the car, it stopped suddenly and proceeded to scare the crap out of both of us. Its eyes protruded from its head and made this snarled-like gesture. It definitely was trying to scare us. It then flew off or disappeared. This happened so quickly, the adrenaline in our veins was pumping instantly from the fright. Immediately after the thing flew off, I looked to my left at my boyfriend, and every hair on both of his arms were standing straight up. Again, we both confirmed what we had seen and were bewildered. 20 years later, I still wonder what we saw. I've researched on my own on the web. I have found out that I may have witnessed something like the Mothman. This sighting makes me a believer that there is another dimension that we cannot see and sometimes may show its face. This thing, this entity, was not nice. It was demonic. It used its power over us to scare us beyond anything that I have ever felt before. I drive by this location all the time. I live near it. The location is near a wooded area, a subdivision, and get this, an abbey and monastery. The land that we were traveling on, and also the wooded area perhaps it lived in, was once owned by the abbey. I wonder if there is a connection. What's up, Mr. Anderson? How are you? I've never heard of any Yonkers. I've heard of a Shelter Island experience. I had a a girl in her 20s that lived in Shelter Island, New York, and she had a Dogman experience. I had her on 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I think that story has a lot to do with Dogmen. Only the shadow knows. I really do. Probably a gargoyle, lunatic. I don't like pizza with anchovies. My ex MIA was a gargoyle. Oh, shit. I like pizza with pineapple and ham. Pineapple and ham on my pizza is my shit. I got $20 on the Terminator too, because $20 is $20. You gotta like pineapple and ham. Actually, I had pineapple and ham pizza today. I've never heard so, William. I'm not a big fan of mushrooms on my pizza. I like marinated mushrooms. Marinated mushrooms are the shit. I can eat marinated mushrooms right out of the can. Like once in a while, I'll get lazy and not want to cook dinner, so I'll just put saltines on a plate, some Swiss cheese, pepperoni, and marinated mushrooms, and I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm definitely not a real man. I cannot handle anchovies. I tried once. My mom we got pizza once. I was a kid. I was probably like 10. And I think Who's the Boss? Tony Danza was talking about anchovies on the pizza on the show once. And I was like, I want anchovies on my pizza, Mom. I love them. They're so good. And my mom's like, you've never had them. And I'm like, yes, I have. And she's like, no, you haven't, asshole. I'm your mom. You're 10. And I'm like, I love them. So she ordered a pizza with anchovies on it. And I took one bite and I was like, this is gross. And she made me eat 2 pieces. I am your daughter's dad, Tommy. So, okay. Anchovies and the forbidden fruit would be something Dogman would love. Yes. I heard Dogman likes eating ass, though. Why did I say that? What the fuck is wrong with me? Is Dogman a gateway cryptid? Orphan Andy, I'm not sure. Roughly, William. Roughly. See, the thing with that question, with your question, Orphan Andy, is Dogman a cryptid, a gateway cryptid? Is an open-ended question because, one, I'm not going to say yes because I don't know and nobody knows. People have seen Dogmen enter into a portal. But do they all come from portals? I mean, because there's like ancient stories that have them walking with humans across the land bridge. And supposedly there's this old kind of, I don't know, tale that at one time humanity and Dogmen, or the cynocephaly, which is Dogman essentially, got along. Humanity became greedy and we started screwing them on trades and warring with them and shit. And then this hatred for humanity became, and then eventually as humans became the biggest and whatever most intelligent idiotic species on this planet, we pushed them into the woods. That's just an old tale. Natural occurring phenomena. I do too, Krypton. I do too. I think that portals, Dogman from my second encounter. I really don't like to share them. I've talked to Native people about them. My Native friends. Just because, like, here's something, like, just because a Native American is Native American doesn't necessarily make them an expert on Dogmen. I'm Native American. I have family that lives in Hogansburg on the reservation. And I've talked to like people that I thought would know about them and they don't. It's not something that's often spoken about. There's certain people that do, but I don't think at this time, I think the progression of, the way we live nowadays, people have forgotten so much of the old world and the old ways that they don't like remember the things that they used to. But I think portals are naturally occurring. I don't think that, I don't think they're everywhere. And my own belief is I don't think Bigfoot or Dogman are magic. I think that as humans, we have lost the ability to use certain parts of our brains. Like there's myth that, like, they say we use 10% of our brains, which is not true. We use like 40%. But what's that other 60% for? You know, we supposedly humanity, and as we grew and shit, we had all these like abilities. Like, why are some people sensitive and others aren't? Why can some people do things that others can't? Well, because they have that percent. But what if Bigfoot and Dogman didn't lose that percent? They still have it somehow. And they can just run through, know where these portals are, feel them, this magnetic attraction, you know, and run to them, but not necessarily know where they are map wise. They could just feel them through their veins and shit. Yeah, the origin stories are important. Absolutely. Dr. Mose is like, his fucking origin stories are amazing. The twins, the demon killing twins, I love that. Yeah, what I read about the Hopi is they're very unless you live on like on their res, that they are very like introverted. Even if you're related to them, like you're a distant cousin, or but you don't live on the res, even if you're like the first cousin and you don't live on the res, they won't share certain things with you. But they're also one of the most ancient Native American tribes that are still left. Good night, Liz. I've had web surfer. I've had a couple experiences with bear and dogman and mountain lion with dogman. Virus, I'd like to hear him. Ginger, what's going on? How are you? Long time no see, my friend. Virus, do not open. I'd like to hear some sometime. If you can get permission to share them with me. 59th. Actually, the mountain lion story that I had heard didn't work out that way. The story, so I'm just winging it off the top of my head. This guy was into the paranormal. He had a girl that was into the paranormal as well. He was in his 50s, I think. And they had gone to this like really decrepit old house way out in the woods. They had explored it. It was a real shithole. You know, there wasn't a roof on some parts. There was on others. There was a stairwell, the alcove stairwell, and they looked down, and there was a deer, and it was dead, obviously, and they saw this hand whip it back into the basement more, and they took off. As they were running, they eventually saw this dogman. A month or two goes by, and he goes back out towards that area, and he's walking, and he comes across a mountain lion mama, just a big mountain lion, just ripped apart. And two cubs are ripped apart as well. And one is in real bad shape. he brings it home with him, and he's got 2 cats of his own. And this mountain lion is in real bad shape. It's only a baby, like a baby. But as he looked at the mama cat, the mama mountain lion, and the babies, they were just, he could tell that there were huge claw marks. They didn't stand a chance. So he brings this mountain lion home. He nurses it back to health. And it was part of his family for a good year, maybe 2. It was getting bigger. It was getting stronger. He was being smart and keeping it outside at the end of everything and stuff. And eventually one day it just left. It was gone. About a year goes by and he goes hiking in that same location. And he sees the mountain lion, and he remembers, he can see the scar from one of the claw marks on it. And he sees how big she's gotten, and she has a litter of her own. Now he's staring at her like, whoa, what the hell? And she remembered him. As he's walking away, because he didn't want to, get attacked. He didn't know if he was going to get attacked. It's gotta, even though he made sure it lived, this Dogman creature comes running out of the woods, and this mountain lion remembers the attack that it endured when it was a baby, and went to war with the Dogman. And somehow, either out of blind rage or luck, it ended up like killing it, ripped its throat out, or it was protecting its babies. He did have a gun. He was prepared to shoot the Dogman to protect the cat and its babies, but he didn't have to. I'll look after, Andy. I'm not going to, in the middle of this live stream, I'm not going to check emails. I guess I will. Yep. Do something. What's going on? Algonquin and Mohawk sweat lodges are open to, well, not open to the public, but open to. I've heard that. I've heard Grizzlies can put up a fight. Did DC send me an email, though? Because I don't have DC's, Andy. '59th, if you ever find the Truth Quest, here's the thing, is dogmen are cool, but they're not the ultimate predator. We can kill them with a gun, so it doesn't mean they're unstoppable. So not only the biggest would kill them. No. I think Captain wasn't a grizzly bear. Captain was a big black bear, and he did. So, I mean, these things are not, if they bleed, they die. They're not unstoppable. And that's what Brad proved to us. Victor proved it to us. They die. So fuck them. All right, I put my email in. It's under Tommy. Captain was big, but black bears don't get huge, Truth Quest. They're not like the biggest. And no, William, humans are. DC, I just put it under Tommy. Werewolves are an apex predator, but humans are still, we are still the the ultimate predator on this planet, unfortunately. I mean, I don't mean unfortunately, because I don't want to see us get wiped out, but think about like with Van Drimeny, Danny Van Drimeny, what he said about the hang on a second. I gotta find it. Is it downstairs? Oh, here it is. So here. I think this bit of information right here is probably the greatest info we could ever have. I'm going to share this and I'm going to end the upload with this. Every human culture has believed in the existence of other beings, monstrous humanoids, sapient but inhuman. They have gone by different names: boogeyman, bugbear, cyclops, giant, ogre, Ane, troll, yeti, Bigfoot, Dogman, werewolf, and more. But they are always feared, lurkers in the shadows, threats to the clan, tribe, or hearth. Dungeons and Dragons did not create these monsters, and despite ongoing controversies, they do not represent anything modern. Humanity's legendary heroes have been fighting these monsters since time immemorial. The real question is why? Why does every civilization have similar myths? Why does every culture have legends of monstrous humanoids? And why are they always depicted as fearsome and dangerous? Why? Because legends are real. Bigfoot, werewolf, dogman, and ogres are real. That is at least the argument offered by Danny Van Drimeny in his book, Them and Us, How Neanderthal Predation Created Modern Human. Van Drimeny is a heterodox thinker, and his argument is well outside of the mainstream view. So let's delve in. And then he goes into talking about how Neanderthal was extinct, how they possibly went extinct. But this is what he says they look like. Here we go. Neanderthals were an apex predator. Now, they didn't look like Fred Flintstone. Analysis of isotope of the bone college has shown that Neanderthals' diet was 97% meat. They are estimated to eat 4.1 pounds of fresh meat a day. Neanderthals were cannibal. Neanderthals had more robust bones and heavier musculature than Homo sapiens. They weighed 25% more. They were so heavily muscled that their skeletons had to develop extra thick bones. One of the most characteristic features of the Neanderthal is its exaggerated massiveness of its trunk and limb bones. All of the preserved bones have suggested a strength seldom obtained by modern human. Quoting paleoanthropologist Eric Trinkus, a healthy Neanderthal could throw an average NFL linebacker over his head and throw him through a goalpost. Neanderthal also evolved extremely thick skull, postcranial hyperrobustity. Neanderthal's teeth were twice as big than humans' teeth and sharp. Their jaw size was enormous and had a tremendous bite. They also evolved in the Ice Age, so their eyes were similar to that of a rhesus monkey. Neanderthals didn't have clothing. The key part right here is this. The Neanderthal that Van Drimeny describes is thus a terrifying creature, a hunched, cannibalistic predator with large, shining eyes, an animalistic snout, covered in thick fur, heavy muscles, built for close combat, hunting at night, with a brutish and guttural voice, and a monstrous mouth with huge teeth and a powerful jaw. It did not look like Fred Flintstone. That, my friends, is the bugbear, the ogre, the Bigfoot, the werewolf, whatever it is, it's been appearing in our myths for thousands of years. If you guys ever want to get an amazing book, Danny Van Drimeny, Them and Us, It is probably one of the most eye-opening books I've ever read. What's up, Jeremiah? How are you? Some guy in Sweden talks. Yeah, I've had that guy on my show, Daniela. I've had John Phoenix is his name. He's been on my show a couple times. Werewolves, according to a few people, they do speak. Good night, William. Have a good night. But his name's John Phoenix, and he's been on my show a couple times. I don't know. Just because he's been on my show doesn't mean I believe him. I give people a chance to share their experiences and what they believe. Like at the end of my show, I say theories and experiences judgment free. The only experience I know that happened 100% is my own. I know my experience happened 100%. Others I take at their word. Do you believe in curses and witch spells? Yeah, I do. I do believe in evil. I mean, think about my trip to the Conjuring house, Web Surfer. I caught some really crazy shit. Johnny Ohm, how are you? Never heard my experience. I literally share it almost every week, so you're gonna have to wait till next week. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I know that in my video of The Conjuring when I was there for overnight, I caught evidence of the crooked neck lady on my SLS camera. I literally honestly believe that the footage that I have from the Conjuring house is probably some of the best footage out there at the Conjuring house. No, I've never been to the Hinsdale house. No. My encounter, Mert. My encounter happened in 94. It wasn't huge, but I'll share it next week. I promise. If you're here, I promise you I will. Daniela, if you go to the YouTube search bar, type in my name and type in Conjuring House, it'll pop up. Just use YouTube search bar like you would with Google. Sully, what's going on? I didn't bring them up this time, Sully. I didn't bring them up. I did bring the dowsing rods up to where Tom Mezek disappeared. I almost said Bill Cooper. Where Tom Mezek disappeared. All right, I'll share my experience. So 1994, I'm sorry for everybody that's heard it. I really apologize, but new people want to hear it, so I'm going to share it quick. 1994, I was 17 years old, and I was with my friend Martin, my girlfriend, his girlfriend, and our friend Gabe, who could drive after 9 o'clock. In New York State, you can't drive after 9. Well, you can, but not legally. And so we were in this cul-de-sac off the main road. It was just a pull-off kind of that went deep in. And new houses were getting built. There was like 5 or 6 houses getting built on the inside wall of this. The woods were like really thick where I live. I live in the Adirondacks. So beyond those woods is just mountains, woods, and a river and an old prison. So we're just hanging out. We're listening to the greatest New York City hardcore band ever. And all of a sudden, we hear this like shriekish howl. The girls, I will never forget it. I don't know why, but they yelled vampire. We weren't watching vampire movies. I don't know why. It didn't sound like a vampire to me. Actually, the movie we watched that night before we hung out was Dazed and Confused. So, all right. So, we are all just like, what the fuck? The girls run in the car. I'm standing outside of the car by the passenger side, ready to go in the car, but I'm confused because now we can see eye shine at different heights. It's like 3 feet to like 6 feet, maybe even taller. Coming at us through the woods. The woods are thick. There's these houses where, you know, like the undergrowth and shit was just dense. So how are they moving so fast? That's what I was thinking. Like, what the fuck is moving so fast? And what has glowing eyes? Martin is from Czechoslovakia, so I got to say it because it's always funny to say, Jeff, get in the fucking car, bitch. So he gets me in the car. And my buddy Gabe shuts his door. Martin's riding bitch. And I'm in the passenger side on a bench seat in this old, like, land yacht Caprice Classic. Baby blue, just fucking pimp mobile. Gabe punches it. And we get to the stop sign. And we're heading north. And as we stop at the stop sign, I look over Martin Gabe, and I see this Anubis-looking creature. It didn't look like it had, like, it was on steroids. It didn't look like anything anyone else explains. I don't remember a tail. It might have had a tail. I recall its ears being large and pointed, and a muzzle that was not like a German Shepherd's, more like a pit bull or a Rottweiler snout. And because it was like nubby but big, we punched it out of there. The next day, Gabe drops us all off, the girls first, because they were sleeping they were spending the night at one of their houses. Me and Martin get dropped off. Gabe goes home. Me and Martin go back the next day, and we drive in. We're looking around. The guy like yells at us because he thinks we're stealing shit and tells us that he heard dogs fighting in the woods the night before when they were packing up. We leave, and that was the last I talked about it for a while. I start my channel. I share my experience. I end up running into Gabe because Gabe kind of blew us off. Like, Gabe blamed me and Martin because we were into, like, he thought because we were in a metal that we fucking summoned these things. But I guess when he was sitting in the car, he had the door open and he's playing with the cassette player because it was 94. Cassettes were like huge still. And Biohazard was great on cassette. So he's playing with that. And he looked over and he saw two of these animals, quadruped, going across the road to the woods behind the car. That's what freaked him out the most about the whole thing. He saw two, and then the one next to him. That's my encounter. Haunted, what's going on? I just talked about you, buddy. I don't talk to the girls because I obviously I don't want to. Martin, I see him every once in a while, and Gabe, I see him every once in a while. Other than that, no. That's funny. Mr. Haunted is in the house with us, everybody. And for those of you who do not know who Mr. Haunted is, go and listen to my interview with him. He worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren as their photographer and videographer because he's the fucking man. And he knew Father Malachi Martin. And his new book, The Origins of Mr. Haunted, is on Amazon. Go check it out. It's only $20 because $20 is $20. What's up, G.I. Joe? How are you? From the stabbing cabin, Sully. Going elbow deep, baby. I got to put the shirt on for one last time. $20 is $20. All right, I said that was it, but because so many people popped in, one last encounter for the night, my friends and family that I love so much. As a teen, I just refused to sleep at normal hours, especially on the weekends. Why? Well, that's because the house I lived in and the land the house was haunted as shit. Up usually meant seeing some freaky activity, and growing up in a small English town in Berkshire, well, that's as exciting as life got. One night, I was around 14. I'm standing up, staring out my window, when I started seeing glowing blue and purple lights coming from the forest behind our house. We don't have fireflies where I lived. I thought they were cool, so I just continued staring at them, trying to figure out what they were. Now, the way my house was set up, my bedroom window faced the forest and my back garden, and directly next to my room is a side gate that links to the front part of the house. On either side of the gates are motion sensing lights. So the lights in the forest may not have been paranormal, but what happened next most definitely was. The motion at the front gate triggers the lights, causing a faint light into my garden. The night grows real silent with no more owls or crickets, just real eerie. The lights in the forest came to an end, and that just died out. I listen carefully as I start to hear scuttling on the wooden gate. It's muffled, so I slightly crack open my window to get a better look and a listen. Now, the gate is always locked with a heavy padlock. To this day, I have asked my dad if he ever left the gate unlocked that night, and he stands by the fact that unless he is gardening, the gate stays closed and locked. This was spring, so he might have started seeding. So for my own comfort of mind, I'm going to assume he left the gate open. Anyway, I hear the gate slowly open. The creaks of the wood are loud against the silent night, so the sound is very distinctive. The motion light right underneath my bedroom window switches on. Honestly, to this day, I cannot explain what I saw. It was this off-white, veiny kind of skin texture. It was the size of a child. It walked on all fours and looked sickly. Its hind legs were significantly longer than its front, and it looked like it had claws. I hate having to link back to creepypasta, but if I'm looking for an honest picture, the rake, which we know as the crawlers. Now, I've gone through possibilities in my head. Trust me, it was too small to be a deer that frequent the garden. Also, it had no remote features like a deer. A badger, a fox with disease is possible. However, I've never seen badgers or foxes with such long limbs and so disproportionate. Also, this thing was completely hairless and human-like. The scariest part about it to me was how slowly and silently it moved through the garden before disappearing into the woods. The noises of night started back up after that, but I was so shocked that I did not sleep the entire night. I live in England, so I haven't heard any folklore that matches what I saw. I know there were occult practices done in the woods behind my house, but I'm pretty sure it was pagan, hence not inherently bad or demonic. I don't know what it was I saw. G.I. Joe, thank you. Fort Drum, New York. No kidding. Watertown, baby. Charlie, happy birthday. I hope you have a beautiful party tomorrow. Sasquatch Grandma, how are you? Rake is a creepypasta, so it'd be technically a crawler. That's why they said I hate to refer back to a creepypasta, but a rake is a creepypasta. G.I. Joe, you're in Watertown, right? If I'm not mistaken. Andy Davis, thank you very much. You are the man as well. Death by a Falling Coconut. Tyler Marshall, you are welcome. You are very welcome. Charlie, I hope you have a beautiful birthday, dear. Fort Drum is not in Watertown. I thought Fort Drum was in Watertown. What's in Watertown? Yeah, I don't want to see one either, Grandma. Fuck them little things. I know Richard Gere. Richard Gere wants to gerbil a crawler, though. I've heard that 100%. Like, he wants to go elbow deep with a crawler. All right, guys. It's getting late. I am exhausted. I love you all. I had a great night tonight. Thank you. And I will see you next Saturday. But we'll see each other throughout the week too. Have a good day tomorrow. Enjoy. Have a great Sunday if you don't have to work. Spend it with your family. Get some rest, please. I hope to see you next week, G.I. Joe. Sumner, be good. Don't let your meatloaf. DB Mac, 59. Good night, Tyler. Good night, Grandma. Carl, have a good night, buddy. Thank you all for coming. I love you all. I love you all. From the great Ozzy Osbourne.